I haven't read any Edgar Allan Poe, but I know he is absolutely beloved, so definitely need to rectify that. Again, this will probably be something that I pick up autumn, winter time. Whether it's going to be this year or next year because we have so many books to get through, I don't know, but it is one that I'm excited for. Hello my loves, it's Kirsten, and today, as the title suggests, we are doing the classics that are on my physical TBR. I was originally going to do a full physical TBR video, and then I looked at how many books it was and I was like, you know what? I don't fancy editing that, so instead we are breaking it down into just the classics today, and then there will be a further video coming out for the other books on my TBR. I may further break it down into maybe manga and graphic novels separate to the other books. I haven't fully decided. I need to go through how many other books are on my TBR and see how I can break it down into some way that actually works. But for now we have my classics. Okay, I think that's enough of the introduction. You all know what we're here for. Let's just get straight to the books. So the first one I want to talk about, and in all honesty I'm not going to talk about every single book on this one because it's going to take forever, but is one that, depending on when this video comes out, I may have already read or be in the middle of reading, and that is the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I have a lot of the Sherlock Holmes books in this TBR pile just because I am making my way through all of the Sherlock Holmes books and I am reading them in the recommended reading order. It's something that I've been definitely enjoying. I absolutely love the writing, I love the murder mystery, so we are following Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson as they solve various different crimes, and I really enjoy it. They're always a good time, and it's just something that I've really been enjoying, and I think once I finish my journey with Sherlock Holmes we're going to start with Agatha Christie, because having a classic murder mystery on my TBR each month is definitely something that I have been very much enjoying. Generally speaking, they're all quite short, so for example this one is a collection of short stories. I'm loving it. I really like having it done there, and I love seeing our classic murder mysteries. So yeah, that's going to be this one. And then another one that is kind of like a special moment to talk about is the complete fairy tales of the brothers Grimm. This is the 3rd edition, and oh my gosh, is it beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. I love the cover. It is a massive paperback. This is actually second hand. This is one that someone gave me, kind of a bit battered in places but lovely nonetheless, and this is something that I'm trying to get more into in general, is our fairy tales. It's something that with these sort of short stories they are going to be really good to read, and I want, like, for some of the smaller prompts that I have, so one of the prompts I've got I think is to read a book under 200 pages, so a short story works really well for that, and this is going to be one that I slowly make my way through, and I probably am just going to start at the start, bookmark my way as I read throughout these. This is something that takes me a while, and I do want to get other fairy tale collections like Hans Christian as well, so many of the others, so this is something that I really want to start reading more of, is our classic fairy tales. If you do have any recommendations of any other fairy tale collections, please put them in the comments below because I know there's so many different ones. Again, this is something I really need to get into. It's something I keep talking about. I would love to have so many more fairy tale collections on my shelves. I want to actually read them all. So it's definitely something I need to actually stop thinking about and talking about and actually do. Okay, moving on, we have 2 of the little black classics, and this one is Circles of Hell by Dante, and this one is The Fall of Icarus by Ovid. These are really good, especially if you're thinking about picking up a certain author's work but are not sure if you're going to gel with the writing style. These work really well. So say like Circles of Hell, this is obviously a part of Dante's Inferno poem. I did try reading Dante's Inferno but ended up stopping. I just couldn't fully get into it. I don't think it was the time for it. Poetry is not something I've read a lot of. I think before I go into the full poem, I'm actually going to read this one first because it will just help me get into that mindset and see if I'm going to really enjoy this. The same with Ovid. This is something that I want, an author that I want to try and read more of, especially because I have read works by Homer, so I would like to get more into that Greek classical writing And again, this is a great way to actually do that by seeing what Ovid's writing style is like and to be able to prepare myself for that. We then have Tess Diablevils by Thomas Hardy. This is a book I'm super excited to get to, and I do love this edition, how garish it is, and it's just, I love it. This is actually a W.H. Smith exclusive edition because it was celebrating their 225th anniversary. So I had to pick these up. They were all really cheap. I think I got this one for like £2. This is more of a Gothic literature book, which I love Gothic literature classics. They are amazing, sublime. I love seeing where our Gothic influence has come from and how it continues to influence us nowadays in our films, in TV series, and also the books that we read. I think it's amazing and definitely one I want to get to soon. I know I'm not talking too much about each of the individual books, about what they are, and I apologise, but again, this will be ridiculously long otherwise. So another one I have is The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter, and I really don't know much about this. I have read the synopsis of this so many times and it just doesn't stick in my mind for some reason. I just know that I love the cover, think it's beautiful. Angela Carter is an author that I really do want to read more of. I think she's also done The Bloody Chamber. I think it's by the same author, and that's one I definitely want to get as well. That's a short story collection of different Gothic tales. This one I have a feeling it is slightly Gothic, but it's definitely more on that magical realism side, I believe. Again, could be completely wrong. If you've read this, please let me know, and do the same for any of these classic books. If you've read them and you think, girl, you need to get on this, why haven't you read it? Put it in the comments below so I know I can actually start prioritising some of these classics, because yeah, we have a few. Then we have Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I love Jane Austen. It's been an amazing journey and I do want to finish up the rest of her books. I think I've got this one and one more to get through. Definitely something I want to do soon. This is one of her more humorous takes on Gothic literature. You have the Gothic literature inspiration, but it is more of a sarcastic take on those books, which I think is going to be great. I can't wait to see it. I love Jane Austen's sarcasm and wit throughout all of her books. I think it's absolutely amazing. Definitely something that I see as iconic Jane Austen. You just can't recreate it. I think it works so well. So I cannot wait to see it in more of that Gothic setting, and just to see how well, like how much does she take the mick out of other classics. Like, I'm so excited. We have our main character who is very easily led and easily influenced by other things, and I just feel like it's going to be a really fun time. Then we have The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. This is one that I keep kicking myself. I need to read. I want to read this before Villette. So this is the book that came before Villette, but this one was published afterwards. We're following a professor who falls in love with a student, and we're seeing it from the professor's point of view, whereas Villette, we're seeing it from the woman's point of view. So I really want to read this. I really want to read it first, then pick up Villette. I love Jane Eyre. It's one of my absolute favourite classics. It's something I need to just read, but also I'm intimidated because I love Charlotte Bronte so much that I'm scared to pick up one of her other works in case I'm disappointed. But anyway, another garish cover which I just couldn't say no to. Absolutely adore it. So yeah, I am intrigued and also scared. And also Villette is a lot bigger than this, so it's going to be really interesting to read this, then read Villette and see what I think. Then we have Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, and this has taken place over the course of one day, and we're following, I think it's just the one perspective. I don't know too much about it. Honestly, I picked this one up because of Claire Fenby, who has a YouTube channel. I will have her linked below. She's a massive inspiration. I adore her videos. I think the way she does them is just, yes, brilliant. And she spoke about this one and how much she really liked it. I also read The Other Boleyn Girl because of her talking about it again, how much she absolutely read it, as well as one of my other friends, Kris, over at Kris Reviews. They both really liked it, so I picked it up and read it, absolutely adored it, and so I do trust them. Claire Fenby recommends this. I am going to give it a go. I'm really excited, and I would also like to read other books by her. I have read Orlando, which I adored. I thought was an absolutely amazing book. couldn't get enough of it, really liked the writing style, so I am excited to pick up Mrs. Dalloway and all her other books like To the Lighthouse and stuff. So yeah, very excited. Then we have another slightly darker book again, and that is Notre Dame de Paris, which is by Victor Hugo, which is all about the Hunchback of Notre Dame. We all know the Disney version of this. We also know how Disney likes to Disneyfy things, so I'm super excited to read the actual original by it. Looking forward to a slightly more dark, depressing, gothic read. I'm also debating whether I pick this up in autumn, going into autumn winter time. I feel like that's the perfect time for me to pick up the gothic classics. So some of these classics I think are going to be really good for like summertime, like Jane Austen, even Charlotte Bronte, depending on how the professor goes. I'm not sure. Charlotte Bronte is something like that. Jane Eyre, autumn. Could this be a lighter read that I could read at another time of the year? Because I do like it. I don't know. Tangent aside, I think this is one that I'm definitely going to be picking up in the autumn. I am really excited for it. I'm really excited to see the original take, because I loved The Hunchback of Notre Dame growing up. I loved that film so much, and so to read the actual original classic, it's going to be good. I'm really excited for this. Okay, then we have Lady Orderly's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. This is a book that I can't remember what it's about. In this outlandish, outrageous triumph of scandal fiction, a new Lady Orderly arrives at the manor, young, beautiful and very mysterious. Why does she behave so strangely? What exactly is the dark secret this seductive outsider carries with her? It sounds really good. It sounds like the sort of classic book that I like The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, things like that, where we do have this mysterious woman and we don't know too much about her. Also kind of like Rebecca vibes, not quite as gothic-y, because obviously that is more of like a ghost story, but the sound of who Rebecca was as a character is very interesting and gets me intrigued about this one. Also, this cover, oh, don't focus on me, focus on the book. There we go. Beautiful. I love these English library editions. They're actually my favourites. You've got to see a lot of the different classic editions that I have, but my favourite are these ones. They are just so beautiful. Another Jane Austen, we have Emma, and I think reading this one would then bring me to the end of her 6 major books, and then it would just be her short stories and stuff, which I have read some of those. Again, this is one that I'm really excited to read. This is another one where some people say it's better than Pride and Prejudice. I don't know. I do know that when I have finished this and Northanger Abbey, I'm going to be doing a rankings video for her 6 major works to see what ones are my favourite. Because so far I'm actually having a really hard time choosing one that is my favourite. So yeah, maybe it will be this one. Maybe it'll be Northanger Abbey. I am actually tempted to get all of Jane Austen's books in this edition because I do prefer it so much more. And prior to this, I wasn't sure what classics edition I was going for. So I have lots of different ones because I couldn't make up my mind. But actually, these are just, they're beautiful. And I would really love to have my classics collection, which is majority of one type of edition. The ones that I can't get in this edition, I am getting the Oxford World Classics, which is the white ones that we saw. But otherwise, yeah, this is the edition for me. Which, tangent, honestly, I'm not very good at this. I just talk all the time. Continuing on with Sherlock Holmes, we have The Valley of Fear. I'm not going to go into too much detail. We've already spoke about the fact that I am reading these all, very excited for it. And again, this is going to be one where I'm hoping to get all of the books in this edition. I love them. So yeah. Then we have The Great Godpan by Arthur Machen. This is one I picked up because I read The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, that trilogy. Absolutely amazing. It is a retelling of all of our great Gothic books and I just think it works so well. Really, really loved it, would highly recommend. And in the 3rd book they do talk about the Great Godpan. Then I saw it in Waterstones and I was just like, okay, I need to pick it up because I have this thing where I'm trying to read all the originals for anything that has inspired a retelling or inspired another book. It's something I'm very much enjoying. I love to see where they got their inspiration from, what they've changed about it. So that is a book I picked up solely because I read Theodora Goss's trilogy of retellings of our Gothic literature. No idea what it's actually about though, so. Although it does say it's horror fiction. So that sounds interesting. Continuing on with the horror, we have The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Lots of people recommend this to me when I mentioned how much I love Jane Eyre and Rebecca. They recommended this one, saying it's also got those same sort of vibes and nice Gothic influence. So this is definitely high up on the TBR. Again, thinking more autumn time. Honestly, we're gonna have so many classics in autumn, but it is one that I'm really intrigued by, and if you guys are recommending it to me, it is high on the list. I think it's more of a ghost story actually, because I didn't talk about this one at all. We have On a Moonlit Road in Hampstead. Walter is accosted by a stranger dressed from head to toe in white. She seems to have escaped from an asylum. Sounds good. More Sherlock Holmes. This one is The Return of Sherlock Holmes. I think, is this a bind up of short stories again? I think it may be. I'm not 100% sure. Again, this is going to be one that I will eventually get to on my Sherlock Holmes journey. Then we also have The Classic Tales of Detection and Adventure by Edgar Allan Poe. I think this is again another short story collection. You will find that with these last few books, they all look very similar to this. I got 2 box sets of classics from Costco, still of a price, and I do want to read all of the ones that are actually in these 2 box sets. So I got the ones which are horror and fantasy and also mystery. I haven't read any Edgar Allan Poe, but I know he is absolutely beloved, so definitely need to rectify that. Again, this will probably be something that I pick up autumn winter time. Whether it's going to be this year or next year, because we have so many books to get through, I don't know, but it is one that I'm excited for. Then we have one I desperately want to read this year, and that is Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. Now I cannot remember if I've read the original story to this or not. I feel like I have, but it was such a long time ago that I'm not sure, and I also don't know whether I'm just remembering like the film. Either way, I'm putting it on here because it's going to be like reading it for the first time, or will be reading it for the first time. I mean, it's one that I really want to read. Again, it is one of those great classics that everyone talks about. That is one of our staples, so it's one that I just need to get to, and I'm super excited for it. Obviously we are in Paris, we have the opera, and there is this person that stalks it who then takes someone under his wing. It's tragic love story, and I'm really excited. I need to get to read this one. Again, this is another priority, but if you guys say some of the others should be prioritized, then like I said, let me know. Then we have a book I have to admit I am putting off, and that is The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. I think what I'm going to do is read The Woman in White first, and then I'll read this one. This one is more of a crime novel. It's all about legendary Moonstone, and I think it been originally plundered from a sacred statue in an Indian temple. And it kind of goes missing, and then they need to start investigating and finding out all of it. I am intrigued and I do want to read it, but I'm also intimidated. It's not a book that I've ever heard of. It's not one that I would necessarily gravitate towards. As I said, I think I'm going to read The Woman in White first by Wilkie Collins, get a feel for the writing style, and then pick up this one. But it's not high on my TBR. So let me know if you've read this, if you would recommend it or not. I'm not sure. Then we have a tiny little one, and that's Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I don't know too much about this one. I think it's just about this tale of someone who wakes up as a bug. I mean, fair enough. It sounds really intriguing. It is super short, so it's definitely one that is going to be easy to get through. What I make of it, I have no idea. I have no expectations for this book at all. I just think it's going to be really unusual. So yeah, I guess we'll see. Then we have the Lovecraft Compendium by H.P. Lovecraft. I think I've read one of the books in this. Yes, The Haunter of the Dark. I have actually read that. Well, I listened to it on audiobook. So I do have the rest of the tales to go through. To be fair, I also have that with a few other books like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Within that story, you also have smaller short stories. Eventually I'll get round to those, but considering I haven't physically read any of these, that's why it's on this TBR. So yeah, need to get to that. H.P. Lovecraft is more sci-fi horror based, I believe. I think he did War of the Worlds. I think so, but this is actually just his shorter stories, like The Call of Cthulhu, Cthulhu Dragon, Dunwich Horror, The Whisper in the Darkness, that sort of thing. So, haven't read any of those, looking forward to it. And then the final book on this TBR that I have is The Classic Tales of Horror by Edgar Allan Poe. This is one that I'm actually really excited to get to, more than the mystery ones. And this one has The Fall of the House of Usher, The Mask of the Red Death, The Black Cat, lots of ones. So this is definitely piquing my interest a bit more. I do prefer my horror classics. Saying that, I do enjoy a good murder mystery classic, but I do think that I tend to go towards the more gothic ones. Apart from, like I said, Sherlock Holmes, that is just very good. So yeah, another one that again I need to get to. The majority of these you can kind of see where I'm at. I have a lot of gothic literature, and that is just because that was my first love of classics like Dracula, Frankenstein, Jane Eyre. Those sort of ones are my absolute favourites. But I am starting to branch out more into just the classical fiction, such as Jane Austen works and things like that. So it's something that I'm trying to get a bit more of a mix of. Definitely the love of Gothic shines through in this TBR. But also, do let me know of any other classic books that aren't necessarily on this TBR but you think I should definitely pick up, because I'm always interested. As much as I have so many books, I'm always on the lookout for more recommendations from you guys. So yeah, let me know what ones you think I should prioritise out of these. I think we have 20, let's check. We have 22 classics on my TBR to get through. Plus some of the ones that have shorter stories in, such as Christmas books by Charles Dickens. I've read one out of this, so I think there's another 3 to go. So I do have things like that to read. And as I said about like Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, some of his shorter stories, I have read 2 of the ones from there, or have I just read the one? Either way, that's something I will need to get through as well. But those are ones that, because I have read at least one from there, I haven't included on this TBR because it would be a lot bigger. But thank you so much for watching, and if you did make it this far, let's put the book stack emoji, because yeah, there's quite a bit of a book stack to go, and I still have so many more books to talk about that are on my physical TBR, so do look out for those videos. It may be coming out this month as well. I'm just not sure on the order of what I'm doing at the minute, so I guess we'll see. Yeah, as said, don't forget to tell me if I need to prioritise any of the ones that you've seen here, or if there's any other classic books that you would recommend for me. Pop those in the comments below, or even just your favourite classic. Let me know. I've been talking way too much, so we're just going to leave it there. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it that thumbs up, subscribe, comment to let me know that you're here. Social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next one.